there is nothing wrong with your display screen.
Do not attempt to adjust the image. We are controlling delivery. We will control the luminance.
We will control the radiance. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity.
For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear.
You are about to participate in a great adventure.
You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the urban gumbo.
You're a drummer for Urban Gumbo. You've written a book about your experiences in the entertainment industry called Bumping into Fame, describing the lifestyle and the unlikely connections you've made with some of the true icons of modern music. And you contend with a condition given its name by a mild-mannered 19th century English doctor, James Parkinson.
What's that?
Could you not take any pictures of me at the drum set? Because I endorse completely different competitive companies. I can't. I'm not supposed to be using these. But you can photograph me on that stuff as much as you want.
I can do this censor thing where we black out your face and we can't tell you who it is.
1966, Gretsch Broadcasters. 50 years old. Does that drum set look 50 years old to you, Joel? Of course not.
You don't even look 50 years old. From 1-4-5 and the 7th minor. A drummer, there's nothing like that. It's that you're in the moment and it's happening and you're feeling it and you're pulling the train down the track.
Or you're pulling the train off the track and the rest of the guys yell at you.
Urban Gumbo is the latest version of what started off as the band called City Lights. And City Lights started in 1978. John Desigue and myself, who we nicknamed BJ French, BJ and I started the band in 1978 and went through a series of guitar players and drummers over the years for 10 years. We went through drummers and guitar players until 1988. And 1988, we again were looking for a drummer and a guitar player so we could keep going. And the first drummer we tried out was this guy. His name was Bob Gerard. And he came in and he was prepared, and he knew the songs that we had asked him to come prepared with. He knew how to sing them. He had ideas, and obviously this guy was coming from a band that was much higher up on the food chain than us. So BJ and I looked at each other like, if this guy wants in, he's in. So it was a very easy decision to make. So Bob was in.
Let's see. I just started a job. I saw an ad in Metroland for a drummer for an R&B, working R&B band. And I answered the ad. I went down to BJ's house in Troy, and in the cellar. I went down to the cellar, and that's where I met Gary for the first time, 1989. And it was a nice fit because he was really professional. And, you know, he had this look, he had this air about him. Gary always looks like he's like been around. I don't know. He just has that rock and roll, you know, man. He's got that feeling of like. It's hard to put in words. He's just that. Gary always looks like he's been experienced from day one, like he came out of the womb experienced. Gary's always had that. Gary's got this coolness, you know. He's just Mr. Cool. You know? Great bass player, great bass player. So when we morphed into Gumbo, which is the natural thing, you know, our music we started writing. We started out as a party band, kind of like, you know, rock and roll, do your Doors covers and do this and do that. And it was a rock and roll party band. But when Joe Quant came into the band, he started writing these great songs, and they were all like these stories, all these, I don't know, production songs almost. You know. Rob, we had auditioned some really good. I think we had auditioned some really good guitar players. Rob came in with a superlative attitude. He had this energy, and as you can attest to because you've seen him play, and this energy. His knowledge and his experience wasn't developed as it is now because he's had a role as a band leader now, so he's had time to get baptized by this beautiful business. So at that time, his energy was just so strong, and he was just so gung-ho and so eager to make it, you know, so eager to please and so eager to to be cooperative. I think out of maybe 3 or 4 people, he got the nod because of his attitude and his energy. See, greatness doesn't come so much from virtuosity as opposed to team players.
It needs to be said that these guys were physically older than I was. So the youngest of them was 5 years older than I was, and I was auditioning for their band. So I saw my role as serving whatever their purpose was musically. So that worked for them too. I wasn't kind of like a prima donna guitar player with great playing behind me and a reputation and all that stuff. Coming in, and which worked great because there were already 4 alpha males in the band. So it made sense. It was cool to have sort of like a non-alpha male in the band. Urban Gumbo itself is a name that I helped create with the guys in the band. Right after in the middle of making our second album, we realized that we had something different than our beginnings. And the first I heard of these guys was an ad in a local newspaper called Metroland. And I was a young musician. I had never been in a band before. I had played the acoustic open mic type venue for a while. I played acoustic blues, and I had my first electric guitar. I had it for just a couple of years, and it was a $90 Ibanez Artist. And anyway, I saw the ad. I made the phone call. I believe I called Gary, and Gary said, yeah, we played some Allman Brothers, and that sounded good, and they played some blues, and that sounded good, and I knew some Allman Brothers tunes and some blues. And so anyway, I accepted the audition, and I went to BJ's house. And in BJ's basement, they were all set up, and brought my amplifier. I had a cheesy $100 amplifier that I bought just for the audition. And I brought that downstairs with me, and actually waiting up in the living room, heard some great guitar playing going on downstairs. So in other words, the guy who preceded me was really much better guitar player than I was. And but that was all fine. I was a young guy, and this was the first band I was auditioning for. So anyway, I went down, I introduced myself to the guys, and it was really, coincidental that I knew the tunes that they wanted to play on the audition. So so I did a pretty good job with them, and got the call back in a couple of weeks. Learned from that audition that while there were other great players auditioning for them, one of the parts of my guitar playing was that I was a considerate rhythm player. So in other words, I would leave room for others to solo and tune in, be heads up in the band experience. So since I didn't have many flashy licks to show off, I guess my head just wasn't really in the. I just wanted it all to sound good. I didn't really have any really burning, licks to show them anyway. And so played the solos the best I could, but more importantly, made room for the harmonica solos and for the keyboard solos, and tried to lock in with the drummer and the bass player. So anyway, it was kind of that rhythm aspect of my guitar playing that I think worked for City Lights.
Talk about the whole landscape of the music industry today,
right,
which has changed radically, changing all the time. it will change more before it's done. So, what, according to your lights, what's the pathway for a band to get attention these days, to develop a following? How do you see that working?
Well, I think the traditional pathways still exist. I think in a lot of ways the music industry, as much as it has changed, the infrastructure is still there to a certain extent, and there are still artists who use it. I don't know that there is the get rich quick ascendancy to rock stardom in the way that, I don't know if that ever really existed, but I think there's maybe this myth, like this sort of mythos in the rock world that, if you put together a good band and you work hard, then you're on the cover of Rolling Stone or something, in set number of days, weeks, months, years. Whether or not the cover of Rolling Stone is even the objective anymore is maybe a more valid question. I think there maybe isn't a single metric in terms of how success is even measured right now in the music world or in the art world, or frankly in the world of any sort of content production. I think this is part of a larger question of, in the digital age, what is the relationship between the artist, the writer, the filmmaker, and that economic infrastructure for distribution and consumption. And I think that's that relationship is in a moment of crisis right now for everyone, musicians, included. I don't claim to have the answers. I think it's a really interesting and convoluted subject. Something that, like you said, it's in a state of change, and I think it's going to continue to change. So I'm not sure that we ever are going to hit this moment where suddenly the industry settles, and this is the way of doing it, and this is what used to work, and we almost have to, I think, maybe get used to that ambiguity in some ways.